So we're here. I'm here with Adam of As Everything Unfolds. Before I press record, I was just fanboying a little bit here because I've been listening to you guys from the debut record that you guys released on Long Branch, and been a fan of the band since. But I don't think you guys ever released a complete album like the way this one is. This is the most complete body of work that I've ever seen from the band,
Oh, thanks, mate.
and absolutely blew me away. I'm like I'm hooked
Hell
on
yeah.
on this record. Such a good album. Let's start off by talking about the change in labels, going from Long Branch to Century Media. Did that have an impact at all on this record?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different way of doing things, isn't it? It's a big thing that we talked about when we moved over from Long Rights to Century was that we just really wanted to find the right home for the next record. Um, and so far they've been the perfect home. They've been fantastic to us. We can't say a bad word about them or Long Rights. They've both been fantastic. Um, I don't know if it made a difference to the record. I mean, I think maybe a little bit because Century Media is kind of they're a bit heavier. They've kind of got that more heavy edge, and maybe there's a bit more of that in there. We were just talking about what you wanted as being one of your highlights on the album, and that thing is that's a heavy one. Like
That is a
you
heavy
know,
one.
and that was the thing. Like when because obviously we signed, and the first single we released with them was Set in Flow, and a big thing that we talked about was like we can't come back with something like Gasoline's a bit more poppy. We're like, we need to come back with a heavy one. They're a heavy label. So we didn't want to be part of the family and it'd be like, they're you know what I mean? They're the light ones. Yeah, whatever. They're not real metal. So we wanted to have a something with
A
gusto.
banger.
Yeah, something, with a bit of teeth to come back to. But they've been fantastic so far, man.
It's funny that you mentioned Gasoline, definitely one of the popular songs on the record. What I thought was really interesting about this album is that you guys were able to bring a lot of different influences, a lot of different sounds. And I even mentioned that when we covered that single, that while this song with Danny is really heavy, it's not the picture of what the whole album is. Like,
Yes.
people really have to understand that this album is very versatile. There's a little bit of everything there. There's a lot of electronic elements on this album, but somehow the record doesn't feel disconnected. Like you
Yeah.
guys created such a fun, interesting ride from the first song all the way to the last song. And considering how different the songs are, uh, it begs the question: how did you manage that somewhat cohesive flow, considering how unique each song is?
I mean, luck. I mean, we've talked about this since day one because we all love such a vast difference of music and we love being able to have that breadth in an album. I mean, you're probably the same as me. If I listen to an album, I like the journey. I want to come up and then come down and feel those ebbs and flows. And when we first, back to the first album, when we first sort of talked about it, we were unsure if we'd even be able to try and move in that direction. But then it's like, Enter Shikari have been doing that for years, doing crazy stuff. A Day to Remember, they kind of don't really care. They're heavy one time, they're really light and soft the other time. So we were like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's just figure it out. But I think through and through, there's a DNA that seeps in the thing, and maybe that's just that it's all the same coin. It's different sides of the same coin. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like the feeling and the vibes and everything else is there, but it's just a different take. It's like we as humans aren't happy all the time. Sometimes we're angry, sometimes we're sad, but you're still the same human. And I think part of the way that we write is trying to capture those emotions and those elements, but it still feel like us, you know. Um, but I was a bit nervous about some of them because like Reverie is kind of like this industrial dance track.
I
Like,
was gonna say you guys even threw some, not only, and I for those that haven't obviously heard the whole album, not everybody's as lucky as me. So that I've had a chance to listen to it multiple times. You guys not only added some industrial elements to the sound in a song here and there, but even to the vocals, Charlie's vocals, you guys added some electronic elements here and there,
yeah,
not in every song, but here and there. And I thought that made the record so much more dynamic. because you're not just making changes musically, you're also
Mm.
making changes vocally, which is such an interesting take.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I, I think some people, and it's especially in the metal scene, you do see a little bit of that elitist kind of like purist kind of thing. And I was guilty of that when I was younger and stuff. With some of the bands. But like, I mean, nowadays I'm listening to a lot of electronic stuff. I mean, John produces electronic stuff, like, as well as being in the band. So like, we get a lot of um inspiration from those kind of things, and there's similar vibes and there's similar things. I think it's got to be fun. That's the thing. Like, even though the record is maybe dark in some respects, it's got that kind of tonality and the edge and stuff. It still has to be fun. It wants to be a fun experience to listen to and enjoy. Because if it's not, like, God, you don't want to have a record that you only put on when you're sad. Like, there's a time and place for that, but God, do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do it, man.
It
You know?
pigeonholes the album into just one state of mind.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's beautiful. We'll all have our tracks out there that, when you're not feeling too good, you put it on. Maybe you kind of dwell in those emotions, but it feels good to feel it. I think we really wanted to sort of keep the hope and the passion and the drive present, even on some of the songs that were maybe a little bit more heavy emotionally, just so you weren't too pulled down by the weight of it.
You know what's interesting? When I was recording, because I already recorded my review of the record, and I find this really interesting. It's harder for me to record a review when I really like the album because I try
Mhm.
to convey why I really like it. At the same
Yes.
time, try to be as unbiased as possible so it doesn't come across like I'm just pumping your tires
Yeah.
on the video. But I'm a huge fan of Charlie's voice. Her
Mm.
vocals from day one, I've been a huge fan of her vocals. I think she's an outstanding vocalist.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so when you guys added the electronic out, the first time I was going through the record, when you guys added some electronic elements to her voice, I was pissed. I was like, do not fuck with her voice. Her voice is fine on its own. It doesn't need anything. It's just like cheesecake. I don't want anything on my cheesecake. I just want
Yeah.
the fucking cheesecake. But then the more I listen to the record, the more I'm like, wow, these tracks really work well because sonically you guys went in that direction as well.
Mm.
So, okay, you know what? I'll give you guys a pass this time around because
Yeah.
I like the way you guys approach it. It was such an interesting look and
Mm.
saying like, okay, her voice is amazing, but if we add these elements there, they will really complement the sound behind it. At least that's how I felt afterwards.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny that you say that, is that like, I mean, Set and Flow is a really good example of that with the chopped, vocal. The first time we showed Charlie, she was like, she's like, I don't know. We're like, just trust us. Just honestly, it's cool. It's different. It's like the the drop is the bit rather than a chorus, so to speak, which we got from electronic sort of music. And I think we had that reception from people when we dropped Set and Flow as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, there's no chorus. You're taking away from Charlie's vocals. I'm like, yeah, I know, but not all the time. I think that's maybe you feel the same way, is that you worry that it's like, if you take a gimmick and you do it too much, suddenly you're like, okay, yeah, we've heard that, and now you've just ruined it. Now it's done the thing. But I think tastefully, it
No, I
was
thought you guys
nice.
walked that fine line absolutely perfectly. You took it as far as you could without
Mm.
making sometimes too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So you guys
Yeah,
kind of like
definitely.
found that perfect medium there.
I think so. I mean, yeah, well, we just like making tunes and making stuff that we enjoy. One thing that we've talked about is like, maybe I've said in interviews and stuff before, is like trying to give people the thing they didn't know they wanted. And that's an exhibit. You heard it, you're like, no, I don't want it. And then you're like, maybe I do actually. That's kind of cool. You know? So, because you've got to do it for you, if for not the passion to do your art. If you don't have that, then what are we as musicians, as artists?
Listen to you guys, this record specifically, it reminded me of experiences that I had when I came into an album, and perhaps the album had a lot of electronic elements or a lot of pop elements you mentioned before about gatekeeping. And I'm like, I feel like I should hate this, but
Mm,
I don't. So it's like you have like this inner struggle with yourself, which is like, this is not metal enough, but it's like it's so fucking good. So at the end of the day, who cares if it
mm,
doesn't fit everybody's pre-thought process of what a metal album should sound like. If
yeah.
it's fucking good, it's fucking good, regardless of what it is.
I think so. you know, there are some bands that maybe you'd be like, let's not start. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you guys are you clear cut. Let's not start messing with it. They can do it, and you're gonna go. Ooh. But then, I mean, Sleep Token is a fantastic example of like inherently a metal band. I've seen some people trying to be like, they're not. I'm like, some of these riffs, some of these drums, and like, I'm like, how are you trying to tell me that's not a metal album? But they're taking the sort of pop, almost like sort of jazz kind of things in there, you know. And but that's what makes them unique, and it gives it a different flavor, and it allows it to evolve and stuff. But on the same, but they're not trying to be clear cut. Do you know what I mean? They're not trying to be thrash.
Mhm.
Right in my thrash bands, I don't want it. Get the electronics out of there. I don't need it. We don't want it. Somebody can try it and do it, and if you start that, cool. But you know, I don't know, dude. Like, you know, if I just feel like, let's say Metallica turn around and they're kind of like, okay, we're gonna go super pop, super synth on this metal album. I'm like, no, stop it, guys. I'm like, it's not that it's not good. I'm like, it's not you. Do you know what I mean? And I think we've tried to keep it open.
I think the sound has to be a representation of the band. And
Mm,
for anybody who's been listening to As Everything Unfolds over 3 records now, I mean, this is the third album.
mm,
This album is not a surprise. It cannot be a surprise for anybody the way it
mm,
sounds. The only surprise that I had was how consistently good and complete it felt. Because when I look back at your previous records, they were good albums, but I never felt like you guys were able to maybe fine tune who you are, or maybe you were
mm,
not comfortable in your own skin. I kind of got that vibe listening to this one, not listening to the others, but listening to this one is like, wow, they really feel comfortable. They sound comfortable in this record.
definitely.
Did you guys feel better with who you are and not necessarily how people want you to be?
I think so. I think before, I mean, the first one especially is that you're still finding out who you are, you know. And the third one, I think for every band is definitely like that almost like coming of age thing, should we say? Because the first album, you're trying stuff out. It's weird. It's wonderful. It's great. You know, I can't remember what the word is for the second one, but you do sophomore. When you get your sophomore album comes out, everyone's comparing it to the first one. It's doing the whole thing, and it's that. Whereas the third one, you kind of that's when I think you get to really solidify yourself and the sound comes together. And I think we did find that beforehand, especially on the first one. I think with John's synths and my guitars, we were never able to truly balance them. It would either be like, okay, that's a guitar track, okay, that's a synth track. We never really managed to get them melded together. But this time round, it really feels that it's super like it's just meshed. They're just the same. It's all ingrained. Um,
Yeah, it gives it more of an arena style sound.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Like because the album is full, like it has
Mm,
a like there's no empty spaces in it. It's not like the synths do a wonderful job. I mentioned this on my review. I felt like the synths did such a great job unifying the record, but not
mm.
unifying the record in a linear way, meaning that
Yes.
what the synths do in one song is not what the synths do in the next song or the next
Mm,
song. They it's the same synths, but they play a different role depending on where they are within the
yes.
tracks.
And John, and he's so good at doing that. You know, being a producer in his own right, when we write down together, it's he really does allow the song to do what the song needs to do, and he can hear where the synths need to reinforce or where they need to shine. He can hear that and he can do that, and that's a skill that like maybe the rest of us don't have quite as much. I don't know if I've got that thing. Guitar's a guitar, man. You know, you turn it up, it's in your face. I mean, it's tough to kind of get the thing without then moving into backgroundy sort of stuff. But he's got such a great ear for being able to balance that. It's really fantastic. So I'm glad it's coming through.
No, no, it definitely comes through. And having Danny on the track, did that idea come when you guys toured together, or is that when it was born?
I think it was born after that. What's really funny is that track was actually in the bin. We weren't even going to release it, and
Wow,
then yeah, dude,
wow.
we weren't even going to release it. We were like, the demo version didn't do it as much justice, and we were like, nah, there's no man, whatever. And then we were kind of getting near to the time, and we were putting all the pieces of the different sounds together. And we are like, oh, actually, this one's really cool. Why did we throw it away? And then we kind of brought it back. And after touring with Danny, and actually, we're with the same management, so we're in more comms with just each other, just in general. We kind of like did the tour and we're like, that'd be pretty cool actually. I wonder if he'd buy it, if he'd be interested in doing the thing. And he was so on board. I mean, we gave him the track and we were kind of just like, do you do have fun. We don't want to start writing you some parts and stuff. You just do. And he added some bits onto the track that he was like, I'm not really sure, just put it on. And we were like, this is fucking killer, man. I was like, no, this is great. This is awesome, you know? So, I mean, he went above and beyond what we could have possibly asked him to do. Um,
Uh, when I was listening to that song, I even mentioned in the video that I think a really cool collaboration for the future, and don't mind me throwing this idea out there,
yeah, sure.
because Charlie has great, outstanding clean
Oh,
vocals,
yeah.
like singing voice, but she also has great harsh vocals as well.
Mm.
But I thought would be really cool would be having Cheney from Inthios on a track because she also has really great clean vocals and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
also has amazing harsh vocals. So the style that both of them have is completely different. They don't sound
Mhm.
alike, but they
Yeah, yeah.
both have that wide range. So when I saw Danny on the track, I was like, man, I would love to see those two girls together on a track. At least that's like kind of my own personal wish one day
Yeah,
to
no,
see Inthios and As Everything Unfolds collaborating on a song.
it'd be cool, man. We've talked about this before about doing a track. Well, obviously, it's really lovely to have the juxtaposition of the male and the female voice. That's always beautiful. We know that for the past 100 years, we've all known that that sounds great. But then sometimes you get a few different female voices on a track, and it sounds really, really super cool. Which hopefully is something that we will be doing in the future. Something we're talking about the idea with some people at the minute. So hopefully soon you'll be able to see the thing. And I just feel like there's a really cool texture thing you can get with two female harsh vocals that are different vibes.
Mhm.
You can kind of get the thing which we got with Danny and Charlie, but maybe there's somebody else that do it. I mean, when we did the track with Future Palace, having Charlie and Maria's harsh vocals on it, there was a really cool blend. So we'd love to do more stuff like that because
Yeah,
we
and
don't
there's
do
not a lot
we
of
haven't
people
seen many collabs,
doing that. And to be honest with you, I've had this discussion for the last 3 weeks. Actually, I've been talking about collaborations on record since Don Brocco released that collaboration with Nickelback,
Oh,
which
Nickelback, yeah.
like I was like, wow, I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2026. Like, what the fuck is happening here? So, my son and I were saying like that song kind of set the bar as far as what collaborations should
Mhm.
should be. And when we set when I put him up to listen to this song with Danny, he was like, I hope this is not going to be one of those where you can't tell who's who on
Yeah,
the track. And you guys did a wonderful job making sure that didn't happen. And the chorus on that song is just something outstanding. So.
thanks, man. It's good. I do feel like, yeah, collabs are kind of. I think in general they're kind of tough. I think just the way that the industry is kind of built in terms of the record cycle. There's a lot of pressure and stress with having a full, complete body of work. That sometimes it's tough to bring in these outside people because maybe it changes the perception of the world that you're trying to create. That's always been something that we've had a hard time with doing. Apart from just getting people to do it, that's also been we've had a bit of a curse where we've asked people and they've broken up, and it's been like I was a bit worried to ask Danny if Bury Tomorrow we're gonna. I'm a touch wood, not gonna happen. But I feel like there should be more collabs, and I'm hoping that like as much as the new way of music, being short format, TikToks and stuff, I'm hoping that will lead the way for more collab stuff where it's quicker, it's faster. We can have these fun, silly, almost releases in between the big pictures, and that's
And I,
something I'd
and I
love to
think for
see.
me, the collab makes sense if you're bringing someone that is going to add to the song, not just from a
Mm,
marketing standpoint, but actually going to make the song better than what the song would have been without that person on it.
definitely, but that should be.
That should be
It's
the
not.
minimum
But that
bar.
should be. I know you and I
It's
know that it's not, but it
it's
should
not.
be.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that's the problem. Is it all gets if music didn't exist in a financial businessy sort of world and it was all just us making music, I think that would happen all the time. People would just be jamming out and stuff. But it's the way of the beast. There's labels, there's managers, there's booking agents. Everybody wants to say something. Everyone's got an opinion, which is not a problem because there's fantastic opinions out there and people who've got such great ideas to build you up. But sometimes along the way, that passion to just make fun music with your friends or colleagues or peers or just people you look up to. I think that kind of gets lost a little bit in the business side, which is kind of a shame. But
Yeah, I agree
I don't
with
know.
you. Having someone like Charlie as a vocalist, what kind of impact does that have from a songwriting standpoint? Does it give you more freedom?
It does, because there's definitely sometimes we write songs and I do wonder, and I'm like, how on earth is she going to write to this? I'm just like, how? I'm like, I'm glad it's not my job. I was like, there's no way I'd be able to do it. It does. It gives us lots of creative freedom to do different things, but then because we're kind of outside the box in that sense, I think we are able to make these songs that feel different. Like, I mean, What You Want is a great one. Like, I mean, to my ears, I mean, maybe to other people, you go, nah, it's pretty clear cut, and that's fine. I feel like sometimes we throw different ideas at her that maybe would be more difficult to write something to, and she always comes up with something super cool. So I don't know how it would work if we had somebody more traditional
Or
in
rigid,
terms
yeah.
of songwriting, should we say? Do you know what I mean? Somebody who just sits down and goes, all right, that's my verse, that's my chorus, that's my bridge. Because sometimes we don't do, intro, verse, chorus, bridge. I'm just like, oh, well, here's a breakdown in here. Oh, and actually, this is a chorus, but it actually comes later, but it doesn't do that. So, I mean, she's fantastic. She's fantastic melodies, you know?
Wow. That is really cool to hear because you guys, like I said on this record, really feel like, man, you guys came into this zone and you're able to create such a fun because it's fun. It is a dark record. Like there is
Mm,
dark topics on these songs, but at the end of the day, it's still a very fun album to listen to. Even in the songs that are a little bit more melancholic, you still feel like you still get energy from them, which is such a great
mm.
experience to have on an album like this. With the record coming out April 10th, what's the plans for 2026?
Uh, when's this coming out?
The week before April 10th, a couple of weeks before April 10th.
There may or may not be a small tour announced before this or after this. I can't remember when it's coming out. I can't. We've got half the things in place. There should be a little tour getting announced in the middle of summer for July. Just a small little European thing. Nothing big. We're out with Future Palace September, October, November, the end of 26. But 27 is going to be the year where we take the record and it'll make its debut is not the right word really, but makes its March. Touring wise, should we say?
Yeah, I know it's difficult. It's always a difficult question to answer because it's difficult from a financial standpoint.
Mhm.
Touring in North America these days is it's getting harder and harder
Dude.
financially, as you know. I'm not telling you anything you don't know,
Yeah.
but you also have to. You probably realize as well that this is a market that has tons of potential for a band like As Everything Unfolds.
You
So
have no idea how desperate we are to come over. We would from the last record we've been talking about doing it, and it's basically just I think it's a mixture of the financial, but I think also it's a mixture of having the in. I think you if you have a support tour come in and that's your leverage to come in the first time and then build the clientele to then come, I think that makes it slightly easier. It's very difficult to come in for a headline run when you don't know how you're going to perform yet. It's that you could go in and we could go in, clean up, be an unbelievable tour, and go great. We're moving over. That's it. We're done. This is now
mhm.
our home. But then if you do it and it's crippling financial, as you know and I know, it makes it really difficult to do. Let alone all the sort of politics and everything else that happens with the visas. Um, I mean, it's on our list. It's we've talked about this so many times, and hopefully 27 as well. We can do that. I think 26 we won't be able to time wise. I think it doesn't take like a
Yeah.
year to get the visas or something stupid like that.
Yeah,
Um,
Future Palace did a tour here. Speaking of Future Palace, they did a tour here, short tour,
mhm.
in late last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
Nice. Yeah,
and as a headliner, which I thought was a little bit of a gamble, to be honest with you.
yeah,
But it went really well, but it could have gone really bad either. So it's like I agree with you. I think coming in on a strong support run, like with a band like Barry Tomorrow, for example,
hmm,
who tours in North America very frequently. I think that would open a lot more doors for you to then come back a second time around
yeah, definitely.
on a different spot, maybe with a even a bigger band or something like that.
Definitely for sure. I'm gonna say some of our good band friends and like Caskets and Holding Absence, for example. dude, they're constantly coming out to America, and we're so jealous every time I see their tour posters come up.
You guys,
So
it's coming. It's coming for you guys.
I'm feeling like it's coming. I feel like it has to on this third one. I think it's not fair on the American fans for it to have been this long in our cycle and to have not done it yet. So I think, you know, either 27, yeah, maybe late 27. We've not spoken to booking agents or management, so
No,
I'm putting
but you also have the
doing the
advantage
thing.
of being now on Century Media, and I think that's going to be
Yes,
helpful.
I think so. I really do think so. So I think that's the thing is, we've come into this album with a new management, a new label, and it's by the looks of it, it's being received much better than the last two. So hopefully this is do you know what I mean? The change, the shift where we
Mhm.
can actually do that. And I'm desperate to, because I
I
think that will change the game completely.
I really hope that's what's going to happen for you guys because Adam, I absolutely love this record. You guys hit it out of the park. I didn't ask to be set free, but you guys definitely set me free with this record, uh, and I loved every moment of it. And thank you very much for taking the time today.
Pleasure's all mine.
It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Once again, I cannot express how much I really enjoy this album. It's a phenomenal record. And I hope to see you guys in 2027 in Toronto or somewhere else in North America for that matter.
Fingers crossed, dude. I'd love to do it, and then we can pick up the conversation in
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
That'd be
we
a
can
better
do it
way
in
of doing it.
person. We can chat about whatever you guys are up to at that point in time. And it would be an absolute blast to see you guys perform these songs live. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything goes well and this record sets new bars for you guys.
Fingers crossed, dude. That's what we're here to do. We're here to do it for the long run. So let's get it.
Let's do it.
I
Let's
mean,
do it. Thanks, dude. All the best.
pleasure. You too, man.